Welcome to another edition of Western Women Wednesdays presented by Cowgirl's Edge, where we aspire to celebrate, connect, and inspire the bold, the stylish, and the trailblazers of the Western world. I'm your host, Presley Chaders. Thanks for joining. Today, we are thrilled to introduce a guest who perfectly embodies this spirit. Please join me in welcoming Kensee Auld, also known as Western Gringa. Kensee is not just a well-known Instagram influencer. She is a multi-faced entrepreneur with her own line of clothing, perfume, and an array of Western-inspired merchandise. Growing up in Texas, Kensee has turned her Southern roots into a vibrant, evolving style that resonates with thousands. In today's conversation, we dove into Kensee's remarkable journey from a small-town girl to an Instagram Western fashion icon. She opens up about the challenges of maintaining authenticity amidst the ever-changing pressures of social media and shares the rewarding moments that make it all worthwhile. From her aspirations for the future to a rare glimpse into her personal life, including her dating life, Kensee offers a candid and inspiring narrative. For those aspiring to carve their own path in the influencer world, Kensee provides valuable advice on the importance of being true to oneself, the necessity of consistency, and the resilience required to thrive. Get ready to be inspired and empowered by the unstoppable force that is Kensee Auld, the Western Gringa. Hi, my name is Presley Chaders. I'm here with Kensee Auld, better known as Western Gringa. I'm super psyched to have her here today. She is super dope and has the best sense in fashion, and if you haven't seen her page already, I am shocked. She is all over my Instagram and has been for years. I'm a huge fan, so this is super exciting to have her here. So let's start by getting to know you better. Could you introduce yourself, share where you're from, and a bit about your family?
I am from Lakey, Texas, which is just north of Uvalde, Texas. It's in South Texas. I'm 28 years old, and a little bit about my family. I'm kind of a self-made, first generation. I'm not really a cowgirl, but in a sense, cowgirl. I grew up in a super blue-collar family, truck driving. I showed animals and stuff like that, but I was never in ranching. I didn't have that luxury. I didn't have, 1,000 acres in my backyard. I grew up on 60 acres, and that was my life, and I drove trucks, and I got into fashion through my aunt. My dad's sisters, they both had like every color Rockies and Roper boots like in the entire world you could ever imagine. And so that was kind of like a little bit of my Western background, I guess you'd say, and like where I kind of found what I love to do. And yeah, now I live in Hico, Texas, just outside of Fort Worth, or about an hour and a half from Fort Worth, outside of Stephenville. And yeah, I'm super excited to do this.
Nice, awesome, cool. And how would you define your personal style, and how has it evolved over the years?
My personal style, I guess you would say, like, one of the funniest things that I've heard that's actually very true is people say I kind of imitate or look like a Western Cruella de Vil, and I'm literally like, that couldn't be more accurate. So I definitely like more grunge, rock and roll type style, dark colors, things like that. I think and this is so strange and off topic, but I think part of that came from some traumatic things I went through in my life, and you kind of wear your personality or like what you've been through. And so I guess that's what I would say, which is kind of dark, but it's true. But I guess that would say where I kind of gather like my personal style and the colors I like and textures, things like that I really enjoy.
Yeah, that reminds me of Dolly Parton a lot, honestly. How did you come up with the name Western Gringa, by the way?
So I'm from Southwest Texas, like I was saying, and when I started all this, I, had kind of asked my family what they think I should name it and whatever, and I grew up in South Texas. There's a lot of Hispanic culture down there, and obviously I am a gringa, so that was part of the name I always got called when I was younger. because it's slang for white girl. And then I had Southwestern before. It was Southwestern Gringa. And then I took off the South maybe like 3 years ago or so when I trademarked my brand. My lawyer talked to me about it, said that it would be easier for people to remember. It's a larger like community niche I'm reaching when I like put the category Western and then who I am, together. That was kind of the idea behind the name.
Cool, that's neat. And so you have over 90,000 followers on Instagram. How do you balance authenticity with the pressures of social media?
Um, Honestly, lately I've been doing a lot better job at that. Before, I definitely had like imposter syndrome, like wanting to like be an influencer so bad, and like I would kind of follow like other people's way of doing things. And what I've found, like, which is most exciting and like really cool, is that the more I am myself, like I am one of the most silliest, goofiest. Like, I got voted class clown every year when I was in high school. Like, I'm just very funny, and I don't know if I'd say funny, but I'm very goofy. So like, I kind of just let that side come out of me more, and the reactions from it actually just kind of like push me to keep doing that, like keep being myself. Like, I realized that I should be myself, and that's what's so cool, is that like people online can, like, even though it's online, they can tell when you're being yourself. And I think, I don't know if that's the way that kept me being like authentic or true to myself, but it was like a constant reminder. You know what I mean? It's kind of like looking in the mirror. Like, whenever you're posting stuff that you think is really funny and you really like it and people react really well to it, then you're like, oh, they do like who I am. So I guess that kind of kept me in that nature.
Yeah, 100%. And I do think you're funny, just so you know. What are some of the most rewarding aspects of the job as an Instagram gal?
Some of the most rewarding aspects, honestly, and I don't want this to sound shallow, but I'm about being honest, and I think that like having people, not just recognize me in public, but like come to me and tell me that like I really inspire them, or I really make them laugh, or like, their whole family enjoys my videos, or like something of that sort, or they're like really inspired by my fashion or whatever it is like that. I think people coming me and expressing that to me has been one of the most rewarding things, because it's just like, it's especially in person. Like, I do enjoy the messages I get where people say the same things, but when I'm in person, I can really hear, see, feel their emotions on them, and how much like I'm actually impacting people every day. And to me, that is probably the most important part. And I hope I impact everybody well.
Yeah. Well, I met you for the first time. You came with Cowboy Cole to drop some stuff at my auntie's house, and I did not know you were that tall. I think you get that a lot because Instagram really changes your height, but I was shocked when I found out how tall you are. So tell everybody how tall you are, just so they know.
Yeah, I am 6 feet tall.
Yeah. And do you have a hard time finding cowboys that are tall enough for you?
I do. I actually have found one recently that I'm kind of seeing, and probably gonna be dating, but this is way on early news. But anyway, it is very tough for me. It's also tough for me to find girlfriends who are tall as well.
Yeah, yeah. One of my cousins, I think she's 5'9", and she'll come over and she'll be like, "Can I borrow a pair of jeans?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like, yeah, go for it, but all of them are gonna be capris on you. Good luck."
Yeah, all of
um,
my friends, I mean, like, hardly any of my friends can wear my clothes, but uh, it's just like whenever we all take, all the girls, like, we take pictures together, I'm like, you know, way up here, and
yeah.
my girlfriend's like way down here.
That's so funny. What advice would you give to young girls who aspire to follow in your footsteps and build a career in the world that you have?
One of the things that I think I would say is the biggest thing, and it's gonna sound like a little harsh, but it's very true, is like you have got to be a tough son of a bitch. Like I know that sounds silly for listening to things online and like whatever, but in the world that I live in, I'm constantly dealing with like older people in the Western community that run these brands, rodeos, things like that, and trying to get them to like take you seriously. That's already one of the really hard things. Of course, number two, people bullying you online happens all the time, and like sometimes I've learned now to just, when I read something, I just like literally find it so funny, and I'm like, oh my gosh, whatever. But it could be like very, very hateful comments, but like literally you just have to like just, I don't even, no reaction, like no reaction at all. So definitely it's tough. I would say it's tough because of the bullying that can happen, the older people in the Western community, and like I'm not trying to down the Western community all, but I know everybody knows that they're all very traditional in how they want to do everything, and they want to keep it that way, and sometimes that's good, but sometimes it's not. And with the rise of the internet and like the influencer world and all that sort of thing, and marketing changing so much, you know, we kind of need to come to a common ground there. So I would definitely say the number one thing, like advice for people trying to do what I do and have an influencer career and stuff, I would definitely say your skin has to be very, very thick. You can't be afraid to take no for an answer. You can't be afraid to be rejected. You've got to keep trying. You've got to keep reaching out. You've got to be that annoying person, like, that's constantly emailing, constantly texting, like, hey, like, I'm following up with you. I'm following up with this brand. Like, the brand denies you. You go try a year later or whatever it is. You've just got to keep being consistent with everything. So I would say, which consistency? So that would be my number 2 point probably is, number one, have tough skin. Number two, you've got to be consistent. And that, you know, underneath that, you could say the consistency should be implied with, you know, your posts, how often you're working, how often you're emailing brands back, you know, how you're staying on top of your game all day, every day, you know. And then thirdly, I would probably say being creative. And that doesn't mean you have to be like some artsy fartsy, like, person that can make something or paint or like sing or like whatever, you know. You can literally just put what's in your heart and in your mind, like what you like, out there, and as long as you like truly have passion behind it, which I think is what creativity is like your passion, as long as that's behind it, I think that it'll reflect well with whoever your audience is. So those are probably the 3 major things I would say.
That is such good information. I absolutely love that. When you started your Instagram and were posting and stuff, at what point did you realize, I kind of have a shot at this, I could maybe make a career out of this?
Well, my parents, I mean, not my parents, but my mother more so has always taught me from like day one that I can do anything I want in the world. So, I've always kind of had that like positivity behind everything that I've ever done. Like I've always like been like, I'm going to be the best at this because I believe in myself. But I would say like an exact point in time where I'm like, dang, this could actually be something. It was probably, I mean, like the first time I got like inspired to really keep going was in 2018. I got my first photo shoot with Corral Boots in New York, and I styled me and Megan Maroney, and this was before she got really popular, and we're still friends and stuff. And that moment in time, I think that first event was like where I was like, wow, like, you know, I'm being watched like by important people, important companies and stuff. And so I think that kind of catapulted me more into like really putting effort into it. And I would say probably like late 2020, early 2021 is when I really started generating like an actual income from it. And so like at that point when you start making like some money from it, you're like, okay, like this can actually be a job, and you just kind of increase that. And I realized shortly after, I would say probably 2021, that this was going to be like something that I could seriously do for a living.
Cool. How do you stay creatively inspired and motivated in such a fast-paced and competitive industry? I see those like the road signs you do, like blue collar men this way, cowboy this way, and all sorts of and your little signs. I think they're all so cute. How do you like and they're original, which is the best part. How do you come up with all those unique ideas?
Um, so like I mean, I definitely have been inspired by other things I've seen online. Like there's no such thing. I mean, I don't think this is very clear to some people, but there is no such thing as being 100% original. Like it's not it. That's not true. It could never be true because we are all looking and viewing and seeing and hearing things around us all the time that are influencing what we like or what we're doing. And so there's no way to truly be 100% original. But I mean, I try. Obviously, I'm not copywriting or doing anything of that sort, and like I try to be original as possible. But definitely, where the source of that type of those graphics and stuff, I've just seen other mainstream accounts do it. But I'm like, there's nothing like that for the Western community. So that's where I feel like I kind of tie in. Like I see how well things do in the mainstream community, and then I'm like, how can I take that and bring it to the Western community, you know what I mean? And we can enjoy it in our own way, like how, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I really like that. And I really like the piece you said about the original part because I really think that's true. Like, I've definitely noticed, I've met someone I really liked and taken traits from them. And I don't, when someone copycats me, I don't think of that as rude. I think of they saw something in me that they liked and they wanted to bring it on themselves, if that makes sense. So yeah, I totally really like that.
Other than that, like people ask me about like where I get the inspiration for fashion and stuff from too, like besides just the graphics and all that. And like I would say besides that is I try to look outside of the community I'm in because you're not gonna really get inspired, unless you're learning like a skill or something. But like I don't really find it like that I get inspired artistic wise, looking within my community, you know what I mean? Looking to follow other people and do the same things, So like I constantly try to reach out and find inspiration through a lot of movies, music, decades, historical figures, celebrities, things like that really inspire me. Like I think one of the biggest things, I'm a huge movie person, and I think one of the biggest things is finding characters in movies that I feel like relate to me a lot, and I kind of like Cruella DeVille, and I kind of go with that. So
What is one goal that you aim to complete by the end of this year?
that's a good question. One of my biggest goals right now is definitely getting an agent. I am beyond the point of being able to handle everything myself, and like you should see my emails right now. Like a week, I probably get, I don't know, I would say like 100 emails at least about collaborations, and I just don't have the time to sit there anymore and just reply to everybody. That would take, it's a whole job in itself to do all that, to set all that up and whatever. So one of my biggest goals right now is to get an agent, and I'm kind of looking, I haven't really told anybody this, but this agent that I'm potentially working with is also going to be helping me in more acting. And so I have been in a few music videos and commercials and stuff, and so this year another goal of mine is to start becoming really familiar with a lot of the Nashville artists and other people that fit, kind of like the Western brand and like that whole thing that would match me. So we're working on getting in a lot of music videos, we're working on acting this year, I'm working on getting an agent this year, and besides that, I have another line that's going to be coming out in the fall. So those are probably the biggest things on my plate right now. There's a lot of sub goals under those, but those are definitely like the biggest ones that I'm trying to use to scale my both sides of my business.
I totally would have guessed you had an agent. Oh my goodness. If you weren't doing what you do now, what do you think you would have pursued for a career?
Honestly, I probably would have been a truck driver. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I used to do, and I was good at it, and I actually really enjoyed it. So it probably wouldn't be so great on my lungs because when I was driving a truck, I was smoking cigarettes to stay awake. But I definitely enjoy doing that. I mean, I might consider cowboying, but I think, like, I don't know, I just really enjoy trucks and stuff, so I probably would be a truck driver.
That is super cool. I got a couple rapid fire questions here for you. So, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh,
I know
feel
it's
like
a lot
that's
of pressure, but
I mean, I feel like that's kind of like asking what's your favorite movie. You're like, well, what niche, because I've gotten really great
yeah.
relationship advice, I've gotten really great business advice, but overall, and I don't know, overall, I think some of the best advice I had ever gotten was to probably just trust the Lord with all of my heart and follow Him. And I truly think that, God is who gifted me all of my talents and everything like that. And, it would be a disservice to not use them in His name, to glorify Him. And I don't know, it's the truth. Like they say, it's the truth. He is the truth, the way, and the life. And I mean, I know that it's hard to relate Christianity to like what I do, but honestly, that is life. Everything I do is because of Him. And so I truly think that when I like put everything I have and do it for God, then there's just like nothing else to lose. You know what I'm saying? Like and that could go for everything. So that goes across all niches, relationships, business, like whatever it is. Honestly, like if you put God into everything you do, you will not be dissatisfied.
Absolutely. And speaking of a tricky question, what is your favorite Western movie or show?
My favorite Western movie, I feel like most people know this, but it's Quigley Down Under. Like,
Oh yeah.
that's my favorite ever.
Yeah.
My favorite Western show,
A few moments later.
I don't really know. I mean, like, honestly, the first thing that came to my mind, like, when you're young and it's, like, really soothing, like, when you have Bonanza on the TV, you know what I mean? And you're, like, falling asleep and it's, like, I guess I'd say that might have been it, just because of the nostalgic feeling.
Yeah. That's funny. All right. So, what is your go-to Western fashion trend that you can't get enough of?
Oh, probably Buck Stitch. I love Buck Stitch everything in the world. And I really like that people have started to use that toe bug boot stitch on a lot of stuff like that. Like I just love stitching. I think it's really cool looking. And I would probably say Buck Stitch is probably one of my favorite like fashion trends. I don't know if that's considered a fashion trend, but I really like it.
I'd consider it one. What is your favorite piece of Western jewelry that you own?
I think it's probably, I have this cross. It's from the 1960s. It's a vintage Navajo piece. It's huge. It's like probably this big on me. It's giant and it's so beautiful. And I think it came from the 60s. So yeah, that was probably I think there's pictures of it. I don't have it with me, but.
Neat. What is your favorite Western event to attend?
Probably the National Finals Rodeo. It's a very busy time for me, and it's crazy and very hectic, but honestly, like I love the rush of like working and constantly being busy and everything like that. And obviously the finals are like the coolest time of the year, and you get to see the best athletes in the world. So I would definitely say that.
Yeah. What is one thing that most people wouldn't know about being an influencer during NFR?
I guess maybe, and I don't know, maybe people already know this, but like you don't get to go to the rodeo hardly at all. Like I've probably been like once or twice during the entire 10 days. I'm just it's such a busy time, and like immediately before and after the rodeo there's like something going on. During the rodeo there's events going on, there's parties, you know, Wrangler, Boot Barn, whoever's throwing a party, Huey may be throwing a party you have to go to. There may be a red carpet, this, that, the other. I may be finishing up at a photo shoot, then I gotta change so I can make it to this next event, but I'm gonna miss the rodeo. So like, you know, it's just
Yeah.
it's really hard to make it all happen, and I know that's which is unfortunate because it is about the rodeo, but you know, at the same time, being a go-getter and like wanting to make as much money and do as good as I can and like whatever at the same time, you know, I'm doing essentially the same thing that athletes are, you know what I mean? I'm going to do the maximum I can for my job, you know what I'm saying? And so it kind of comes down to priority, like, you know, am I going to like make this event and have this brand sign me a deal for like the entire next year and like, you know, provide for my family, all this kind of stuff, or like, you know, or am I going to just go and hang out and have fun, which I wish I could, but like honestly I just have such a drive to work that I can't do that. I don't know, I just can't.
Yeah, 100%. And one last question here. You came up for Calgary Stampede and stayed a bit this last year, I guess it would be. What do you think of Canada and Calgary Stampede?
So that was in summer of 2022, and it is absolutely.
Was it really that long ago?
Yes, yeah. I know, time flies. I miss this. I miss this past year. I don't know. I've been talking to some of my friends about going again this year, but we just haven't gotten it together yet. I've just been so busy. But I love Canada. I mean, Calgary. That's the only place I've been. Is Alberta. I went to Okotoks, obviously, and that drive there was so beautiful. Like Canada is so gorgeous. I wish I had more time to go up there and explore because it's so beautiful. The country is. Calgary is definitely unique. It's not what I expected by any means, but the rodeo itself, I think, the Stampede was super cool. That year was unfortunately the year that a bunch of what was it, the PETA people, and they didn't have breakaway, I think, and I don't think they had team roping either that year. And so that was kind of like a culture shock, I guess. But then I've heard that they've added the events back, so that's really why I want to go up there. But I love the Stampede. It was really cool. I got to go up in a box and like do all the behind the scenes thing, the chuck wagon races, and like all that other kind of stuff. Or I think it's is it chuck wagon races?
Yep. I think that's what you call it. I'd say that.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. I didn't know if it was chuck wagons or what it was exactly, but that was really cool. The Indian races too, that was really neat. I've never seen anything like that. And then obviously Cole made it really great because he's friends with Brinson James, and you know, we got to go behind the buck and shoots and like go down on the floor and like the whole thing, and that was like, honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better experience because I don't think I would have gotten a better experience had I gone on my own or with anybody else besides Cole and his friends.
Yeah, the true Canadian. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. I had a great time chatting with you. So thank you so much.